what China can cooperate with Pakistan in tackling this menace of terrorism and particularly elimination of BLA.
This is the common enemy both the China and Pakistan got, and both need to be evolved somehow. The counter joint strategy against addressing this insurgency. We are facing the two major challenges, and one is the religious militancy, and second is the nationalist militancy in Balochistan.
Why opposition opted to boycott this meeting, which was meant for the security of the country?
Nobody is denying that we need a national resolve against extremism and terrorism. PTI boycotted the session that they wanted the Imran Khan in the session.
Do you think governance is also one of the issue in tackling this rising militancy and terrorism in both KPN and Balochistan?
Yeah, this is one of the major component for countering insurgency in Balochistan.
The confessional statement of Yadav, it is quite clear that India is involved in creating disturbance and ultimately insurgency in the province. How Indian hands could be chopped?
Rather than to be get involved in countering propaganda campaigns, we need to be involved and develop more comprehensive diplomatic approach.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, Parliamentary Committee on National Security met at Parliament House in Islamabad. The meeting was called in the aftermath of some of the deadly terrorist incidents that took place in KP, particularly in Balochistan. The committee meeting was attended by some of the top parliamentary leaders representing different political parties in the parliament of Pakistan. Army Chief Sayyid Amir also attended the meeting. At the end of the committee meeting, the committee issued a communique which was read out by Prime Minister Mr. Shahbaz Sharif. The communique called upon full implementation of National Action Programme. And just two sentences which were made by Army Chief General Sayyid Amir. He said Pakistan remains supreme, Pakistan's security remains supreme, and those who are creating trouble in Pakistan, those who are involved in terrorism, will be dealt with iron hand. We were expecting that the committee will issue definitely some sort of guidelines to start any full-scale military operation or something like that. However, these things have been perhaps not announced. So to discuss today's all aspects of Parliamentary Committee on National Security, some of the things that I've highlighted, we are fortunate to have with us Pakistan's seasoned analyst, a senior security analyst, Mr. Amir Rana. Mr. Amir Rana, very warm welcome to Program Insight in V News English.
Having me in your show.
How you see some of the things that have been discussed today? Number one, that Army Chief has called upon religious leaders to expose the wrong interpretation of Islam, which had been done by them. So the role of religious leaders is very crucial in this particular area. So do you think that religious leaders in Pakistan will cooperate in the definitely in the efforts to neutralize these elements and in the efforts to save the country, because role of religious leaders is very, very crucial?
Yeah, of course, Mateen has the religious leaders. They have a very critical role to play in countering narrative. But I think, we are facing the two major challenges, and one is the religious militancy, and second is the nationalist militancy in Balochistan, and which both need the different narratives and narrative formations. And for addressing the Fitnatul Khawarij, or usually we refer as the TTP, so this needs, of course, the religious scholar, and they never backtracked, and they always had the garment, and even they had the garment formulation in the formulation of Paigam Pakistan, and which is somehow is the one of the effective religious decree against extremism in Pakistan. But in Balochistan, I think we need more political narratives. This is not a religious issue. So, but today meeting, I think there was the whole focus was on two major points. One was that how we can have a national resolve against the internal security threats, which include, of course, the all sort of threat from TTP to BLA. And the second component was that to take necessary action against those forces who are breaching this national resolve. So, as far as the operational side is concerned, so we got little, and I think in coming days there will be more developments where we'll see that how they will evolve the operational strategies both in KP and in Balochistan. Apparently, it seems that the military leadership and security institutions will be chalk out a new comprehensive plan around the National Action Plan and all the parameters they had defined under Azme Istehkam. So these are my initial thoughts and reaction on what happened today in
So
national.
one of the point highlighted by Army Chief was also that you also referred to that particular thing, that a collective narrative, a narrative based on political consensus, so on which Army Chief also stressed. But unfortunately, today we have seen opposition boycotted this meeting, which is definitely above any political lines. This meeting was meant for national security, strengthening national security. So your thoughts that why opposition opted to boycott this meeting, which was meant for the security of the country?
I think it's unfortunate, but we have to look at that how the politically polarized the landscape we got in the country, and each of the actor they see their each development through their own interest and their own lens. So this is happening right now, and even this is not a new phenomenon. And when the National Action Plan was under consideration and APS was happened. Even at that time, the opinion was divided in Pakistan, and the political uh, chaos was on his peak. So I think ultimately nobody is denying that we need a national resolve against extremism and terrorism, and only the few parties they think they haven't been taken on board. And of course, the PTI boycotted the session that they wanted the Imran Khan in the session. And you can blame the opposition, but the opposition is saying that it's also blame also goes to the government. Then if they are talking about the national resolve, then why they hadn't invited Imran Khan? So it's, I think we need to be avoid because. Uh, if we were to talk more about all these distraction, the political differences exist in countries. So I think it ultimately will weaken the national resolve, which we have seen today in the parliament.
In his speech, Army Chief referred towards improving the governance. So, do you think governance is also one of the issue in tackling this rising militancy and terrorism in both KP and in Balochistan? And Army Chief called upon improvement in governance structure.
Yeah, this is one of the major component for uh, countering insurgency in Balochistan. Rather, counter not only to counter insurgency, but as a nation, and we need better governance in the country. And this is we see where the governance is weak. So the resistance forces grow up there, and they encroach the spaces. So this is happening both in KP and KP tribal districts and in parts of Balochistan. But how one can address the governance challenges? So I think this is the major issues right now through the existing system that we are practicing in the country, or there's a few other alternatives, because this debate is quite critical, and it's need to be debated from local bodies election to the national resolve on the governance, what kind of the governance we need in the country. So I think it's a bit complicated, and it has multi dimensions. So more important, governance and the political resolve. These are the two issues I think we have to be focused more on in the future, specifically in the Balochistan context.
And when you're saying specifically in the Balochistan context, military leadership has made it clear. If you have definitely heard the press briefing by the DG ISPR along with Chief Minister Sarfraz Bugti a couple of days before. They both were united in saying that linkages of attacks in Balochistan and KP directly goes to Afghanistan. So, how do you see this negative posture and negative sort of attitude of Afghanistan towards Pakistan? Even if there are certain terrorist organizations which are based in Afghanistan, it's important and it's the responsibility of interim Afghan government to act against such groups and do not allow these groups to carry out such attacks against Pakistan. So, how you see two parts linkages of these attacks in Afghanistan, including BLA and this banned TTP, and the non-cooperative response from Kabul administration.
Yeah, I think we all know that the attitude of the Afghanistan is not appropriate and which is somehow is complicating the Pakistani internal security challenge. But I think at the same time we have to look at that are they capable to address the Pakistani concerns because they also got a lot of divisions among themselves and on the other side the Pakistan is putting pressure on the Taliban. So this is again the issue which need the two level of the strategy. First, diplomatically, politically engaging with the Taliban, and because this is not only the terrorism or the insurgency issue which is linked with Afghanistan, but this is also in a broader geopolitical context. We need to engage the Taliban. And second is to do whatever the Pakistan can do because the preemptive strikes is somehow is a legitimate right of Pakistan and globally accepted norm. And we need the both two approaches. And yeah, of course, if we continue blaming Afghanistan, which is going on in the country right now, through criticizing more and more to the Taliban, we are pushing them to the wall, and where they will say, okay, we are not going to cooperate with Pakistan anymore. At the time when they are looking for the assistance from this immediate neighborhood, I think we need to devise a better and effective approach towards Afghanistan.
Another important factor was highlighted that was misuse of social media in highlighting and projecting the wrong narrative of these militant organizations, including the recruitment of innocent people by poisoning their minds and forcing them to join these ranks of these militant organizations. So, how do you see the
Yeah,
misuse of the social media, and what could be done to tackle this?
yeah, right now the two level of the war is going on against Pakistan. So one is, of course, is one is the operational, and second is equally
Exactly.
important. This is going on in cyberspaces on narrative level. We already have discussed before. So this is linked, and I think Pakistan still need to be come up with better responses, and it's depend what kind of the responses condemnation or restricting the cyberspaces or cracking down the social media accounts. So it may be the one part of the strategy, but usually it's been seen as not effective. So more effective strategy is to allow the more voices that can counter the narratives of distraction. So this is, I think, the better strategy, and it's been we have witnessed recently that wherever the states had tried to suppress the voices on social media, basically algorithm starts supporting these voices, and even the few is multiply the voices, and even the few dozen people can hijack the narratives in cyberspaces. So I think that this is more delicate the area of the warfare where we need a very delicate kind of the strategies and the tactics to counter the narratives promoted by these terrorist groups.
So, Amir Rana Sahab, since Balochistan is a major beneficiary of projects related to China-Pakistan economic corridor, there have been energy parks, a new international airport was developed. One of the best port was made a couple of years ago, and we are yet to see the full business and full port activity at that port. But we do not see, due to this law and order and due to this deteriorating security situation. I would like to seek your comments on Chinese concern, because China has remained concerned about the security of some of their projects, some of their workers, some of their engineers, who have also been hit by in the past by these banned BLA. So, what do you think? What China can cooperate with Pakistan in tackling this menace of terrorism and particularly elimination of BLA?
Yeah, I think I had wrote one op-ed on this issue last Sunday, and I had highlighted that how the BLA is nurturing the narrative uh, both against Pakistan and China, and this is on the basis of their ideology and the political view. They are targeting Chinese national in the country. So this is the common enemy both the China and Pakistan got, and both need to be evolve somehow the counter the joint strategy against addressing this insurgency. But I think the scope of such collaborations and cooperation is limited, and is need to be defined in a very narrow parameters. So it may be Pakistan, China may be ready to provide few surveillance equipment or providing few other technology,
Security
but
equipment, exactly.
allow the Chinese to come, even their private security agencies to come and operate on Pakistani side. I think this is one of the major constraints. But even then, there's a few areas where both can collaborate, and one is the effective intelligence collaboration. And somehow China got some edges on that, because they have evolved, developed the effective intelligence gathering mechanisms in South Asia and Central Asia region, and they use the multiple of the sources, both uh, in cyber and technology and human intelligence. I think this could be very beneficial for both of them.
8 years ago, when Indian spy Kulbhushan Yadav was arrested by Pakistani security agencies, later on in his confessional statement, he admitted that he was actively involved in creating and executing subversive acts in Balochistan. So, from the confessional statement of Yadav, it is quite clear that India is involved in creating disturbance and ultimately insurgency in the province. And in the last briefing, DGISPR also made it very clear that Indian external intelligence rise behind these whole things through their handlers and operatives in Balochistan. So the question is how Indian hands could be chopped.
Yeah, I think there's again, we need to be bring all these evidences before the world, and to share with all the major stakeholders in the region, and to develop our own narrative on basis of these evidences, as Pakistan effectively developed when the Kulbhushan Yadav was arrested. But I think this is very critical job, and it will need to face the uh, lot of the counter arguments whenever we launch these other campaign. So I think rather than to be get involved in countering propaganda campaigns, we need to be involved and develop more comprehensive diplomatic approach, and to approach the countries, the state, and to share uh, our point of view that how dangerous the situation is, and these uh, insurgents and terrorists, they got the transnational linkages. So it's also been we know that the Kurdish uh, fighters and the BLA, they also had developed few synergies and linkages with each other. So the TTP's links with Al Qaeda is very well known. So the Pakistan got a legitimate case, and I think it's the strategy we need to develop on how effectively we run the diplomatically our diplomatic campaign, and this is the India did. So when we will have the effective diplomatic strategy, so we will see that how the media will start creating narrative around that. So if we will focus mainly on only the media and countering narrative, or just getting involved in blame game, so I think somehow it's become too sensitive, and sometimes it's fired back.
Pakistan is the victim of terrorism, and India is the sponsor of terrorism. And but yet we don't see that international community may accept this hard fact that India is the sponsor of terrorism, particularly transnational terrorism. Recently, we have seen also a killing in Pakistan, and that was also reportedly carried out by Ra. We have seen Indian intelligence carrying out such acts in Balochistan, on which you have comprehensively spoke. We have also seen Indians targeting Sikhs in Canada, in United States. But now the question is, in July this year, Pakistan will be sitting at United Nations Security Council as its chief. Pakistan is already member of the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member, but in July, Pakistan will be heading this Security Council. How you see this great opportunity for Pakistan to expose India? You briefly talked about that diplomatically we should highlight this. Don't you think that is the best opportunity? Pakistan should present a comprehensive document or dossier on Indian terrorism, not only in Pakistan, but also in the rest of the world.
Yeah, indeed, this is one of the great opportunity Pakistan got it again, and it's depend on how effective campaign we uh, evolve around that. So, but this is again. Uh, Opportunities arises, and it's depend on the state that how effectively they use these opportunities. And this is not the first time Pakistan is getting the this position in UN Security Council, UN. But we, even in the past, we hadn't effectively used these forums. So I think this, for this we need more effective strategy, combining all resources, not only the diplomatic resources, the civil society, the parliament, and all the uh, resources. Mainly, if you allow me to say, that effectively engaging the Pakistani diaspora. I think this is we need it to chart out comprehensive strategy.
Coming to this particularly Balochistan issue, some of the nationalist elements within Balochistan, they allege that Balochistan is not getting its due rights. So, what do you think about this narrative of the nationalist elements of Balochistan, who always who always make criticism on the federation, that federation is not taking care of Balochistan? If we see, on the other hand, Balochistan has due representation in National Assembly, in Senate. Balochistan is getting all due share in National Finance Commission Award. There is a vibrant provincial assembly of Balochistan. Huge money is being spent on socio-economic development of Balochistan. Do you think it's just a political slogan, or is there is any political deprivation in Balochistan?
I think this is not only the nationalist party's argument, and common Loach also shared the similar narratives, and there is a substance in it. And whatever the institution, the sharing, even if this is, they have the counter argument that how much share the people get, and the corruption is one of the major issues there, and how it's being used by the uh,
Lord Sardars?
the
Exactly.
because most the Sardars are mainly with ally of the establishment and the government. So this is a bit critical argument which need to be deconstructed properly, because just uh, presenting the case that they got the parliament, you know that what are the two major demands of the Bloch when we talk about this is not mainly about the resources distribution. It may come later, but they talk about first free and fair election in Balochistan, and the second is the missing persons issues. So they don't consider the current government in Balochistan this is legitimate or elected by the Bloc. So this is uh, narrative you can find everywhere in any part of the Balochistan. Resources, this is also an issue, the corruption and who are involved in these development projects and how much did they spend and from where the contractors are coming and who are the companies they get awards of these development projects. So I don't know about the policy of your channel to discuss all these issues candidly and openly.
So terrorism is a indeed common issue between Pakistan and Iran, between Pakistan and Afghanistan and Central Asian countries with whom Pakistan enjoy one of the best relations like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and then Azerbaijan, where Pakistani leadership recently visited. So in case this massive military operation is started against insurgents, other than that, I don't think so there is any other option. If this operation is imminent, in the near future. What do you think? What could be the regional response to this major
Yeah.
initiative by
So,
Pakistan?
I'm not anticipating that there will be any negative response will come from our neighborhood, and everybody want to address the issue of the insurgency and the terrorism, and especially with the neighbors you had mentioned in Central Asia. They are all part of the Shanghai Organization Cooperation, which is mainly a regional alliance against the threats like insurgency and all the serious organized crime. So maybe there is a no hurdle for getting any negative response from our neighborhood, and but of course this is internal issue for effective diplomatic approach, we need to approach to West mainly. The reason that the Baloch diaspora, Pakistani diaspora is based there, and Indians influence the Baloch diaspora in the West. So it's not happening. This happening in Central Asia or immediate neighborhood of Pakistan. So we need effective policy, and I don't see any problem hurdle in convincing our neighborhood that these how uh, effective responses we need in Pakistan and uh, how active the support we need from them from themselves. Of course, this is would be confined only to diplomatic support. They are not going to be provide any logistic or other intelligence sharing assistance in this regard.
Lastly, I would seek your comment. How strong is this outlawed band, Balochistan Liberation Army? How strong is its structure? How strong is its weaponry, its support, and its own information network? Do you think it will be easy or it will be difficult for Pakistani security forces to finally neutralize and eliminate this organization? Its funding, its structure, its military, and its resources.
Yeah, with the the BLAs maybe they have uh, good human resource and
Hmm.
training, all the weaponry and equipment, but they are facing very well organized the military, and there is no match of between the capacities and capabilities of
Of the
the two.
armed forces,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right. But the what we are talking about mainly since last 2 weeks, the
Hmm.
most of the political leaders and the security analysts saying that all right, the Pakistan armed forces have capabilities to crush and
Hmm.
eliminate these kind of the threats, but at the same time we need an effective political engagement with the Baloch. May not be with the insurgents, but with the Baloch civil society, with the national society, a common Baloch, which is I think was missing even from the resolution the Prime Minister presented in the Parliament. So this component shouldn't be ignored, and we have no doubts that Pakistan got the capabilities to address these kind of the challenges on operationally.
You mean there should be dialogue with the political elements, not with the militants?
That's
Yes.
right.
So, and that particular element is missing from this joint communique that has been issued. But government believes that there is no need of any talk.
That's right.
Thank you so much, indeed, Mr. Amir Rana. Despite your very busy schedule, you
For having.
participated in our program and you emphasized Number one, that this particular issue, Pakistan should present its case, its dossier before international community of Indian involvement in subversive activities in Pakistan. And secondly, with the political elements in Balochistan, dialogue is the only option. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Allah Hafiz.